Hi, I'm Rob Bullington, the Director of Communications for the Virginia Municipal League, and I'm here today to tell you how your league works for you. But don't worry, it won't just be me talking the whole time. You'll be hearing from other members of our team in just a bit. At the moment, I'm standing at the corner of First Street and Franklin Street in the Monroe Ward section of downtown Richmond, near the public library. You can see behind me the offices of the Virginia Municipal League, 13 East Franklin Street. We've been at this location since about 1985. We're about 8 blocks from the Capitol and the General Assembly, just down that way. Under normal circumstances, the office would be a beehive of activity, but since the pandemic, we've mostly been working remotely. I don't need to tell anybody watching this that working remotely can be a hassle, but VML is a solid team, and we've pulled together and have made it work. I actually haven't been down to the office for a few weeks, but it's good to be here today. It's a little chilly outside, and I've got my coffee, so let's head into my office. And while I'm getting set up, I've got a message from our president, Willie Green, the mayor of Galax, to share with you.
Hello, I'm Willie Green, mayor of the city of Galax, and I've been on city council for 27 years now, and VML has always been there for us. I call them the go-to folks. If we have a question or need any answer on any type of municipality matter, we go to them, and they always deliver. I also serve on several regional boards and committees, and it's not uncommon for us to be in a discussion and come to a roadblock, and then someone say, well, let's just wait and see what VML has to say about it before we make our decision. VML also sponsors great conferences, training workshops, such as their annual conference was held throughout the state, the Mayor's Conference, and the Newly Elected Officials Conference. I still remember my first newly elected officials conference. I was brand new, didn't know what questions to ask or who to ask. But it was a great learning experience for me. And of course, VML helps you grow personally. Just last year, I was one of the speakers at the newly elected conference. So it's a great group, and I can't say enough about what they do for us during the General Assembly. I call them the watchdogs because they monitor everything that goes on during the sessions and keep us abreast of bills that work against us and bills that work for us. So you need to be sure to sign up for the e-newsletter at the website. VML is the right group at the right time for building better communities through sound judgment. And as you know, VML has a long track record of being there for its members and supporting their needs, even before I was elected president. Stay tuned.
The Virginia Municipal League was founded in 1905, though prior to 1960 its official name was the League of Virginia Municipalities. The League's primary mission throughout its history has been to serve as a legislative advocate for Virginia localities. VML is nonprofit and nonpartisan. The authority for the organization derives from the state code, which authorizes the governing bodies of political subdivisions to form associations to promote their welfare. VML currently has a staff of 11, with a few contractors supporting the work of the legislative team. Currently, 37 cities, 165 towns, and 8 counties are members of VML. Another important service provided by the League over the years are representation of local governments before the General Assembly, training of newly elected officials, educational events throughout the year, publication of a magazine and newsletters for members, and acting as a resource for local governments. Another way to think about it is that while you're doing the good work of tending to the needs of your community, the Virginia Municipal League is doing the good work of making sure you have as much leeway as possible to do that work. Since the League's primary mission is to serve as a legislative advocate for Virginia's localities, I think we should start there. So I'd like to bring in a member of our policy team, my colleague Jessica Ackerman, to tell you more about that.
Hi, I'm Jessica Ackerman, Policy and Advisory Relations Manager with the Virginia Municipal League. VML's legislative team, which along with myself includes my colleagues Michelle Gowdy, Janet Arison, Mitchell Smiley, and Neil Minks, works to represent the interest of local government across the state, including to the governor, the General Assembly, and to the broader administration, along with a host of boards and commissions. I'm filming this in early February, so right now nearly all of our attention is focused on the General Assembly and its myriad committees and subcommittees. As every elected official in Virginia knows all too well, We are a Dillon Rule state. This rule is named after 19th century Iowa judge John F. Dillon, who didn't have much faith in local governments. That's him there. Thanks, Judge Dillon. The Dillon Rule means that local governments in Virginia can exercise only those powers specifically granted by the legislature, and they must routinely petition the General Assembly for any new powers. The VML policy team does this for Virginia's localities. Over the course of each year, the elected officials and staff from our member localities who serve on VML's policy committees and legislative committee work with the policy team to develop the legislative program. This program is voted on and approved by all of our members at our annual business meeting every fall. The legislative program then serves as the marching orders for the policy team heading into the General Assembly session. During session, we lobby the members of the General Assembly, provide testimony at meetings, and work in dozens of ways to preserve local authority, expand it where possible, and reduce its erosion where we can. We also work to mitigate unfunded mandates that could have serious implications for local budgets. In doing this work, we regularly reach out to members to ask them to contact their legislators to support or oppose legislation. This is vital to the success of our efforts, so thank you for being so engaged. We don't win every time, but even in those cases where we can't fully prevent harmful legislation from going forward, we are often able to influence it for the benefit of our local government members. In a normal year, the policy team would be spending most of every day camped out here, the Pocahontas Building in downtown Richmond, the temporary home of the General Assembly. But this year, with the House meeting virtually and the Senate restricting attendance to their meetings at the Science Museum, we do our work remotely. Since the special session last summer, we've learned a lot about how to make our voices heard and how our members can best participate in this virtual environment. We've put this all together in a document called Working with Legislators, a year-round guide, available on our website. Much of the content will feel familiar to those who have worked in government for some time, and it will continue to be relevant far past the present circumstances. We encourage you to download a copy. All of this makes our work a little more challenging for the 2021 session, but we're still notching some great wins for local governments. We get the word out about all of the wins, the losses, and what it all means to our local government members through regional meetings and events throughout the year. But we also spread the word through our publications, like e-news and our magazine, but I'll let Rob tell you more about those.
Thanks, Jessica. Now let's talk communications. The Virginia Municipal League has several ways that we communicate with our members. 10 times a year, we publish our magazine, Virginia Town and City. Besides highlighting people and happenings from our member localities, we use each issue of the magazine to explore an issue or theme with articles from subject matter experts. No matter the topic, the focus is always on Virginia. Every May, we use the magazine to feature the 7th grade winners of our If I Was Mayor essay contest. Our September and October issues focus on our annual conference, and the December issue is used to welcome our new president. On a personal note, one of my favorite parts about my job is working as the editor of our magazine. Slightly less fun for me, but maybe more important for our members, is our weekly electronic newsletter, e-news. Throughout the year, we use e-news to keep our members abreast of opportunities, events, and time-sensitive news our members need to know. During General Assembly sessions, we publish several editions of e-news throughout the week. During these times, the newsletter serves as our primary conduit for alerts to our members. These alerts encourage you to help us support helpful legislation or oppose harmful legislation. Another important source of information for our members is the VML website. At vml.org, we host a cornucopia of information helpful to local governments officials and staff. Legislative programs, committee statements, COVID-19 resources, General Assembly tools, back issues of our publications, forms to register for events, all these and so much more are available on our site. Oh, and we have online classified job postings, free of charge, for our member localities. Newer developments include a secure online forum we intend to use in the months to come as the issues and legislation addressed by the 2021 General Assembly filter out to our members. We've also recently launched VML Voice, the official podcast of the Virginia Municipal League. So that's communications. Now, before we go on to talk about events, I'd like to bring in a past president of the League and former council member from the city of Roanoke, Anita James Price, for a few thoughts about VML.
Hi, my name is Anita James Price, and I just completed 12 and a half years serving on Roanoke City Council. 2 of those I served as vice mayor. I first became involved with Virginia Municipal League when I was appointed to VML's Human Development and Education Policy Committee. I later went on to serve as its chair. Recently, my proudest affiliation with VML is when I had the honor to serve as president in 2018. As an educator, serving on the Human Development and Education Committee was indeed a perfect match. I believe that education should be everyone's concern and responsibility. An investment in our youth today builds strong citizens tomorrow, which equals to better communities for all of our futures. And what else helps our communities? Well, of course, taking advantage of the wealth of resources that membership in our professional organization, VML, offers. VML is the place to go for advocacy, research, up-to-date information, advice, best practices, and most important, networking. In my humble opinion, I can't imagine my municipal career in public service without the most important place to go for all this and so much more, joining and being a part of Virginia Municipal League. Go VML!
Thanks, Anita. Now, before we wrap up, I want to tell you about some of the regular events VML puts on throughout the year. Twice a year, the Virginia Municipal League hosts a newly elected officials conference. This 2-day event is designed for recently elected officials to get to know the ropes, and many experienced officials attend as well to brush up on their knowledge. This event, in conjunction with VML's Handbook for Mayors and Council Members, are among the most popular resources we offer. Other events throughout the year include a pre-assembly session on the budget, sometimes referred to as the Finance Forum, and a mid-assembly local government legislative day event that brings officials up to speed on bills, good and bad, for localities being considered. The Big Rodeo is our annual conference and business meeting which happens every October. This 3-day event is typically preceded by our Mayor's Institute, which is a 2-day offering for mayors from our localities. Managers often find this event helpful as well. The annual conference includes speakers and sessions that run the gambit of concerns for local governments. Exhibitors and businesses and organizations that are part of VML's Community Business Member Program also attend. While the focus is on education and information, there are opportunities to socialize as well, including a host city event and VML reception. Also part of the annual conference is the business meeting, where our members vote on the legislative program, new committee and board members are decided upon, and the president and executive director each deliver their reports. For our October 2020 conference, we had to go virtual instead of meeting in person in Norfolk as planned. Our executive director, Michelle Gowdy, put together a report for that meeting that I'd like to share just a portion of with you now.
Given that this year is different, so will my annual report as your executive director be. Thank you. In keeping with our Norfolk theme, I'd like to observe that while a rising tide raises all boats, it's also true that a receding tide lowers all boats. And it certainly has felt like the tide has been going out for all of this year. So thanks from the Virginia Municipal League to all our members. By sticking together, we are all going to rise again as one. As the regular General Assembly session ended, there was hope of a small break from Richmond politics and time to breathe. But on one of the last days of the session, I remember watching Senator Newman begging the Senate to not pass a budget, but to wait until they could properly assess what the impact of this virus was going to be. Of course, no one listed, but it was one of those moments that sounded the alarm. On came COVID, and every local official had to adapt and move to an electronic platform to balance the need to keep their employees safe while making sure that the necessary services were still available and ensuring that their locality complied with all of the rules regarding open meetings. With this in mind, we decided this year to acknowledge localities with a Local Champion Award. If you haven't checked out all of the local champions, I encourage you to do so before you leave this conference and to look for a feature article about them in the next issue of our magazine. We also work to compile COVID-related guidance along with ideas from various jurisdictions such as economic incentive programs and sample ordinances, just to name a couple. Also available on this resources page, you will find the CARES Act funding questions raised by local governments document, which addresses questions asked of VML regarding the use and tracking of CARES Act funds by localities. To date, VML's work group has published 10 iterations of this useful guide. This work continues as we fight for more money and revenue replacement. Thank you to the members of that committee. As we said in March, Virginia's local leaders are dealing with circumstances that they did not create nor have any control over. What is needed are clear and honest instructions and information to your residents. We find ourselves in a situation where we must recognize that the problem cannot be solved without sounding some alarms and telling residents things they don't want to hear. This continues to be true, but now as we begin to offer reassurances that we will resume our normal lives, albeit smarter, better equipped, and more cognizant to what binds us together, what makes our localities places of shared dreams, pride, and community than ever before.
So, that's certainly not all VML does, but it should give you an idea. The Virginia Municipal League is your league. Our guiding principle, listed right at the top of our legislative program for many years, is local authority. VML supports expanded local government authority and opposes any erosion of local authority. So, you keep your eye on what you can do for your community, and we will keep our eyes on the things that might make it harder or easier for you to do your work. That's what we do. And we're happy to do it for you. Thank you.